Welcome back to Inspired or Acquired. This is the podcast where we interview real business owners, talk real numbers, and ask them whether or not they would sell their business. We've got a really fun one today. I'm joined by my co-host, Clint Fiore from Dealonomy out of Texas. I'm your other host here, Patrick Dichter from Appletree. Our guest today is Kyle Ewing. He's out of Denver, Colorado. He owns a couple different businesses. The main one we're focusing on today is Terraslate. So we're going to hear all about that. So Kyle, how are you, man? It's good to see you.
Good. Hey, good to see you guys. Super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So for people who maybe don't know about you, tell us a little bit about your business. Like, what do you do? Who are your customers? That kind of thing.
Yeah, thank you. My primary business is called Terraslate, and we manufacture and print durable paper substrates. So the easiest way to think about it is people used to laminate things, and that's A, slow, and B, bad for the environment, takes a lot of time, it can't be recycled. So I developed a product to replace lamination. And what's cool is you take a piece of Terraslate, you put it in any laser printer or copy machine, you click print, and it comes out waterproof and rip-proof, and you don't need special inks or toners or anything like that. And right now it's being used in everything from NFL play charts to the escape manuals on the pods of nuclear submarines.
That is wild. So at the end of the day, you're selling them a product they put in their printer?
Yeah, and we sell it both ways. We sell a lot of blank paper. We sell it on our website, Amazon.com and Walmart. And then we do a lot of printing in-house for various industries. One of the biggest ones and one of our favorite industries are restaurants and hotels, because they change their menus once a month, every 3 months, maybe 6 months, whatever it is. And they really like the product because being waterproof and rip-proof means they can give a clean, fresh menu to every single customer that sits down, and they don't crack and peel like some of the other options out there. And we get to sell both the paper and the print, and those relationships are great. We absolutely love the hospitality industry.
Awesome, man. That is what a niche.
Well, I want to dive right in, Kyle. This is a fascinating business. I have been excited to talk to you about it. Let's just jump right into the facts and figures here. You know, you haven't been on here before, but I do mergers and acquisitions. I love to just play 20 questions, figure out rough ballpark as to what this company might be worth and why. We'll talk about it a little bit and get into, have you ever thought about selling? Why or why not would you consider it? But first, just talk to me about the trend the last few years. Like, what's top line looking like for Terraslate?
Yeah, we did 8.5 million last year. We're on track to do 10.5 million this year. We have a couple things in the pipeline, as well as we just had 2 record months back to back, which is fun. So there's a nice chance we'll hit 12 or 15 million. I'm the kind of guy that never sells on potential. I like real numbers. So I know we'll hit 10.5. We could do nothing. We could stop selling and we'd hit that number. What I like about our business and in regard to revenue is, while we don't have true recurring revenue, we don't have contracts, and we don't sell a subscription, our customers come back all the time. It's a consumable product. But then when they need to change something, they put it in the recycle bin and they place another order, and we ship everything with free overnight shipping, and we have a 1-day turn, right? So people are ordering stuff today and they get it tomorrow anywhere in the country. And what that does is it gives them the confidence to order frequently, and they don't have to over order. So most people would say, like, oh, you should push your customers to order as much as possible at every time. We have to take the opposite approach. We say, order what you need. And if you need more, we'll get you more tomorrow, no problem. And what that does is it builds a relationship of trust, because we're not taking anybody for a ride. We literally have not raised the price since 2020. Before COVID was the last time we raised the price. And even with the tariffs coming down, some of which will hit us hard, we're not going to raise our prices. And we've been able to combat that by tightening our own belts. We pay our salary, we pay the best in class salaries and wages, top to bottom, but we work really hard with our vendors to save money and work with things like economies of scale as we get bigger. And I'm really proud of that, which is why I'm super confident in our sales numbers.
Hey guys, want to take a quick break from the show to thank one of our sponsors and tell you all about them. So Eversight is the company and our sponsor. They were actually a guest on the podcast, and they're somebody that I've used for digital marketing. A couple of things that I love about Eversight. Normally, if you go to design a website and have somebody really do it well, they're going to charge a big 10 to 20K upfront fee, and then you'll get charged hourly anytime there's updates. So Eversight totally flipped the model. They do a monthly subscription that covers great designs and unlimited updates. I use them for my website, and then they can also help with SEO, AdWords, and all your ongoing content needs. They're a great team. They're responsive. I believe in them. I know them. They're a guest on the podcast, so we don't take sponsorship lightly. And I'm a big fan. So I would definitely encourage you to check them out if you've been thinking about beefing up your digital marketing or possibly doing a new website. You can go to eversight.com/inspired and tell them that you found them on the podcast. And back to the show.
How much of your revenue mix is selling the blank pages versus the printed?
Yeah, about 60% of our business is printed and 40% blank.
Great. What's your better margin? I'm assuming the printed is the better
printed
margin.
is better because we sell the paper and the print job. But like I said, we never gouge customers. We wouldn't be where we are if we did that. With that being said, we are the most expensive out there. We have the best, most durable products, the best printing processes, the best service, and our pricing is reflective of that. Yet it's designed to be as affordable as possible. And like I said, we haven't raised the price in 5 years, and that's something we've worked really hard for.
Well, you just got yourself a new customer, because I'm going to order some on Amazon for my own home printer, because I didn't know that was something I could just bang out at home. I thought that would be like a specialty item.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
It makes me feel like there's room to grow here, because I just wasn't aware. I was aware that waterproof and durable print media existed. I just didn't know you could run it through your home printer that easily and using your own normal ink and stuff. So that's super cool. Where's this stuff made? Are you importing quite a bit of it? Do you have US manufacturing, or is it a mixture?
Yeah, it's a total mix. We manufacture in the US, we manufacture in Europe. And then we recently, in the last 2 years, had an issue with companies out of Asia making knockoff versions of our product. And it's a lesser quality. But the truth is, sometimes good enough is good enough. And people would love to buy our product, but they don't have the budget. And so they buy the knockoff. And it does kind of work, right? Like, I'm not about to knock them. And so what we did is, to combat that, we opened up a facility in China and we knocked off our own product. And because we've been doing it so long, we're able to make a slightly better version of the knockoff. And then we price match it with the knockoffs. So what that does is it discourages anybody from knocking it off, because we just continue to lower the price until they go find a different industry. Because the truth is, they're not passionate about paper. They're just trying to find products that are profitable to knock off. I don't know if they picked a good industry coming to us, but what's fun is we can outcompete them with our own version of products. Will those tariffs that are coming down the pike hurt us on that? Yes, but we've made that commitment to our customers, and I think we can stand by it.
That's awesome. I appreciate you saying that. That's been encouraging with all the headlines this year, to hear that you're standing firm and going to weather through it. And
I think there's a lot of abuse in pricing. What I saw during COVID, and it probably will happen again, is people that didn't even have to raise their prices did, because, well, everybody's raising their prices and we'll just join them and we'll make a little extra margin. I think that that's an abuse and the wrong way to look at a business long term. Now, do we have monthly, weekly, quarterly, annual goals? Absolutely. But it's really short-sighted to take advantage of people like that. And when you can build a level of trust and be the one vendor they can count on to not raise their price every week or every month or every year, people, they become incredibly loyal. And so when there is a Chinese knockoff, they're like, hey, look, I saw this stuff on the market, but you know what? I'm not switching. It's important to me to have a valuable, trustworthy vendor, and you guys have proved that. So we're not going anywhere. And those are my favorite calls in the world.
That's awesome. So what is this translating to when you're getting that like 8 million revenue, 10 and a half, potentially more this year of revenue. Do you know what your EBITDA margin is or net profit? I'm trying to get a good idea for the earnings of this company.
Yeah. Right now, we just had a great meeting with our CFO. We're looking at 15% margins over the last 12 months right now, which is nice. It's ticking up. It's always nice and it makes a CFO call go well, right? When top line's up and costs are either up or down proportionally, because it's easy to spend money, as everybody knows, but sometimes people want to grow and they want to spend money in order to do that. You have to buy your growth. It's always been really important to me when building companies that we fund our own growth. I don't like taking outside investment, and we grow profitably. So when we do grow, I want to be able to fund it, and I want to make sure we're going to be profitable again that next quarter, even though we grew a whole bunch.
That's great. And who owns this company? Do you have partners on it? Is it just you or
we don't have any partners. I own 100% of the company. We took an investment from one of the sharks from Shark Tank on the original season. His guy's name is Kevin Harrington. Super good guy.
I know him. Yeah.
I bought him out, and then we had an investment at one point, like 5 years ago. We sold 1% of the business for $100,000 to a company out of Canada called Clearbank at the time. Now it's called Clearco, and I've since bought them back out. And so I'm back to 100%, which I think is critically important. It's always interesting to think about taking outside money. Like, what could you do? Could you pour fuel on the fire? Like, what could you do with another $2 million or whatever the number is? And I sat backstage with Sarah Blakely one time at this thing, and we're both kind of speaking, and she's the headliner and I was a nobody. And she's like, well, what are you working on? I'm like, well, I got this investor. I'm really excited about him. You know, he could make all these introductions and he likes the company. And she basically slapped me across the face. And she was like, nope, we're not doing that. And I'm like, you don't even know me or my business, lady. Like, what? Like, get out of here. And I was like, what? How could you say something like that without knowing anything about the business? And she's like, because we maintain 100% ownership, 100% until you sell. And I was like, I don't hate that at all. And it gave me the confidence to continue to do that and realize, like, I don't need this investor. Could we deploy more capital? Yes. But do you also have to manage growth? Like, you can't explode, because we would fall apart, right? Like the foundation would not be strong enough to 10x tomorrow, right? And so I've maintained that 100% ownership, or I've reacquired it, and I'm super glad I did.
Hey guys, we want to take a quick break from the show just to tell you about our companies that make this happen. My name is Patrick Dichter, and I own Apple Tree Business Services. We do accounting and tax nationwide. So if you own a small to medium-sized business, we'd love to help. And we can also do financial due diligence for any acquisitions. You can check us out at appletreebusiness.com.
And speaking of acquisitions, this is Clint, your co-host. My company is called Dealonomy. You can find us at dealonomy.com. We are on a mission to just make it 10 times easier to buy or sell a small business. If you're a buyer, you probably feel like finding a good business to buy is like searching for a needle in a haystack. We have created the Needle Store, where you can just go find a great business that's turnkey, ready to purchase, with banks ready to lend on it. Go find you a good one. Go buy it at dealonomy.com. And if you're a seller, we're the only place you can sell your business for no commission, with a fast, free, guaranteed result. And so it's very innovative, easy button for buying or selling a business. Hope you join us at dealonomy.com.
All right. Thanks for supporting us. Now back to the show.
It's tough with a differentiated product like this and the reoccurring nature of this. And that's another topic, is you don't have recurring revenue, but you have reoccurring revenue. And that means people are reordering sporadically, but you could probably have that data on how much those customers order over and over again. And you've got a great brand, great reviews. Just did a little cursory research, and your company just comes up smelling like roses when we look at you on the internet. Looks phenomenal. Like, my gut is saying, if you were to go to market kind of where you're at today on it to run a managed process to exit, that you probably be getting offers pretty quickly in the 12 to 20 million range. That's like my rough ballpark. We would have to go into a lot more depth to kind of dial that in. It could be a little higher, a little lower, but I think you're definitely over the 8-figure hurdle. And from what I've learned so far, and that, to the right buyer, you could even be 20 plus. But yeah, I'd say, like, with a little research, I'd be like, 12 to 20. From what I know so far, what's your gut reaction to that? You seem like a pretty sophisticated owner that knows your financials, got healthy margins. You've thought about your capital stack. At some point in your growth, does that start to get appeal to you to do, to pull the lever and take an exit or sell majority or sell 100%?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I love that this is what your show does, because this is super unique to podcasts. Like, maybe there is, but I don't know another one that does this. So kudos to you. And I'll also give you kudos on this. I took our financial model from our CFO, and I literally think we have one of the best fractional CFOs in the world. And we have this incredibly complicated model that rolls up very nicely to be simple. And I was a little bit early for an event that I was headed to last night. And I didn't want to be the first one in the door, but I didn't really have anywhere to go. It wasn't enough time like that. So I kind of kicked it in the parking lot, and I pulled up ChatGPT on my phone. And I'm sure you've used this to model businesses, but like, I uploaded our entire, I think it's like 600 megabyte, like, financial model that we use every day. And then I asked it, like, okay, help me write a perfect prompt. Okay, go through that step. Good. I uploaded the model and I said, do deep research, take as much time as you need. And it literally wasn't done when I left the event 2.5 hours later. And then I forgot about it. And then this morning I pulled it up, and it was right in line with what you said. And it defended its rationale, and it was like 18 to 24 million. And here's the different ways I could value it, and X, Y, and Z. And here's your opportunity. So, I mean, kudos to you, because you didn't get access to, you only got access to what we talked about. You didn't get to go to like what's our labor efficiency ratio in March of last year versus this year. So, gold star, man. Nice work, Clint.
Thanks.
So, I think to answer the question you asked, which is, would I consider selling it? I had a German nanny once, and she was always coming up with the funniest sayings. And one of them I remember, and she would say something like, anything's for sale at a price. And so the answer is not no, but I'm not looking to sell the business right now. I have thought about it in the past. I even considered it not too long ago, about a year ago. And when I met with 2 different brokers from different companies, and then I met with my CFO, they were like, okay, let's just get one thing clear on this. Why are you selling the business? And I don't know that I thought of the most diplomatic reason I could think of, but it was thin. And they said, look, your return on invested capital, or the return on invested capital at a good business, is 50%, right? A good business. And they're like, you're averaging 192%. So answer us this question. Do you think you can do better than 192% on the market if you were to sell this business and put your money somewhere else? And that was pretty eye-opening for me, because I'm like, well, yeah, maybe I could buy some crypto in one day, but over the course of any amount of time, there's no possible way to do that. Now, does that mean we're rolling in cash? Absolutely not, because we reinvest into the business, where we have some really cool things we're working on and building. But like, what I came down to is that this isn't a business that I'm looking to sell right now. Though if I were a buyer, I would be very interested.
Yeah. And, some people are going to watch this on YouTube. Some people, most are going to listen to this in a podcast. For those listening on the podcast, Kyle looks young to me. So can you share what your age is, Kyle?
Baby. Glad to hear that. I just turned 40. So,
right.
Everything hurts a little more when I wake up in the morning. and like, when I go running, like, I thought the other day I was going to bullshit my way through the Maui Marathon. And I was like, nope, we're not going to do that. So I just turned 40 in November. And
what's your family situation?
Yeah, I've got a great family. My wife Ashley and I are going to celebrate our 11-year wedding anniversary this July. I have a 5-year-old girl, and she lights me up in all the right ways every day. She's super funny, and they're very supportive. I think one thing that's hard on your family is being an entrepreneur. I would almost not wish being an entrepreneur on anyone, even if I hate the person, because like it can be all consuming. And one example, two examples I'll give is like, since Ashley and I have been together, which is like 14 years now, we have never been on a trip that wasn't also business related. We have never left town without me also taking a meeting or going to a dinner or to a function or an event or a gala or like a conference. And it is just a part of our lives. It doesn't feel painful to us, but that has to be okay, because that's one of the best ways I build and grow the business. And have I got a little carried away with it at times? Absolutely. Like this year. So example number 2, from January till last weekend, I was on the road almost the entire time. I like come home for a night and then back on the road. And 3 weeks later, come home for the afternoon, put my little girl to bed, and then like basically back to the airport. But it's addictive because that's what works. Like, at least for me in my business, my companies, like getting in front of people, meeting them, shaking the hands, making the sale, getting the introduction. That's what's helping us do this. So it's addictive. But is it really hard on the family? I can't believe how patient Ashley is with me. Now, I never get into any trouble when I'm on the road. But nonetheless, being a single mom for 5 months is brutal. Like, I don't know that I would be as patient if the roles were reversed. And so those kinds of things, they're hard.
Are you the face of the company and like you handle all the sales, or do you have anyone else helping with biz dev?
Yeah, it's a good question. The answer is I used to be, and now I'm not. But like part of the reason I was on the road so much this year, and now it has stopped, thank goodness, is I own a company called the Big Island Honey Company. I own an investment firm called JT&R Capital. We're investing in other businesses. I'm a minority owner in a business called Sustainability Partners out of Arizona, which is an energy and infrastructure financing company. And I may literally buy or start a second company in Hawaii, and that requires a lot of travel. So the answer is, what's driving Terraslate is not me being in that seat, but across several companies, that's sort of what has to happen. The one thing I'll tell you is that I didn't know is when you have multiple companies, the momentum kind of builds between them. And that is magic. And so it's a little bit like the more I work on all of them, the better they all do. When I get too focused on any one of them, they all suffer, not because they're doing badly, but like I gotta get out of the day to day. And that's my biggest Achilles heel as an entrepreneur, is I love the operations part. I love to like help somebody or jump in there. And, you know, like somebody's like, hey, I just got a quick one. I'm a sucker for that, right? Because like I like my people. They're wonderful. I like the customers. I'm even happy to talk to a customer that's pissed off, because hopefully I can talk them down. Like they feel like they've reached the top. Now they've been heard. Okay, we can settle down. We'll take care of you. So the momentum has been what's really valuable across all of them, not specifically to Terraslate or any one of them.
I want to ask a question about that, because that's a wrinkle I was not expecting. You know, with a person that owns multiple businesses, you say the more I focus on all of them, the more they all seem to do. Whereas traditionally, it's the opposite of that. They say if I'm trying to do too many things, they suffer. You know, the one suffers, and so I would almost think 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs would say Terraslate would be doing way better if you would just focus on Terraslate and weren't doing these side projects, weren't doing these other businesses, weren't launching other companies. But you're saying you think that's actually driving Terraslate further, because it's, if I heard you right, is it because it's making you put on your owner's hat more often? If you're
Absolutely.
like, man, I got to go to Hawaii to mess around with this honey company, I'm not going to be in this week. So I've got to empower my people. I got to improve my systems. I got to level up this company so it can go without me this week. Is it kind of forcing you to do that multiple times a year as you trade hats and jump
Yes.
between businesses?
And you've identified, like you've answered it perfectly. And that's exactly it. When I used to run Terraslate, the day-to-day operations, I didn't know it at the time, but I was literally the bottleneck for the company. I thought I was doing everything, and that was, I was doing everything, and I thought that was the right thing to do. But the problem was like the business couldn't grow as any faster than I could manage to grow it, because I have to make a decision on every single thing. I have to approve every single thing. I have to look at everything. I have to be the customer service. I have to like all the escalations. And I was focusing on the urgent, not the important. And that like learning that distinction was eye-opening. And if I could go back in time, someone's like, what would you tell yourself? I'm like, oh my gosh, from the beginning, focus on the important, not the urgent. And I would give that advice to any entrepreneur. It's not what feels good, because something right here is on fire and it feels like I've got to go take care of that. But what you do is you take care of it once and you make a Loom video of how do you take care of it. And then you process document it in software called Trainual or any competing one. They're all great. And then you set up a project in Asana so that like anytime we have this happen, like, oh, the thing happened. Cool. We've got an Asana board. It says like, okay, here's the Loom video. Here's how we do it in Trainual. Boom, 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 boom. Now anybody in the company can do this. And then now, because AI is so fun, I've built what I call the co-CEO, and I'm not the first person to do this. But I put all of our process documentation, every single process in Terraslate is documented. And I exported it from Trainual and I imported it into what I call the co-CEO. And then I spent probably a week of like asking and answering questions that my own staff and our own customers and our own vendors have. And then I would say, okay, based on these 100 questions I just wrote and answered, give me 400 more questions that you need to know. And so now anybody in the company at any moment can ask the co-CEO a question and they will get it as if it came out of my brain and in my voice. And then, oh, by the way, I put a restriction on it. It says, do not go use the internet to find out if you don't know. Simply reply with this one message. I don't know. Please ask Kyle, and he will add that to my knowledge base after he gives you the right answer. And then that's how you build a tool that scales your brain, because you cannot be everywhere. And so the more I focus on the important, like build the co-CEO instead of the urgent, which is like, oh, the things out of things. That's what's leveling it up. So like kind of flip that model on its head. And the more I work on the high level, the better all the companies are, versus when I'm too far into the weeds.
Is the co-CEO a custom chat GPT or what platform is that?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh. Super cool. I hadn't heard of that one. Had you heard of that, Patrick?
No, I was just at a conference and somebody else that runs an accounting firm, they said they trained all their staff to say, don't come ask me a question unless you checked our GPT first. And I love that.
Okay. Well, I want to get real personal here, Kyle.
Let's go.
I'm going to take a tact here. Is your wife's name Ashley?
Ashley.
Okay. Hope you listen to this, Ashley. I want you to elbow him if I'm on the right track here. I'm gonna put myself in her shoes. I'm not as pretty, but I'm gonna say, Kyle, honey, like, you've been traveling too much. Our 5-year-old now is getting to this so fun age where the world's just opening up to her. Now it's actually getting to fun to travel with her. The time is so precious together. She's grown up so fast. You've got a nice little business over here that you've angel invested in. You've got the honey business. You've got the acquisitions business. What if Clint said 20 million. Like, what if we just secured that from Terraslate and then we went out and bought other businesses? Because I know you're passionate about that. And what if you were just the advisor to multiple companies so that you kind of got to scratch that entrepreneurial itch and still drive and build and all this, but you didn't have the big company that you were the top responsible party for, and that would let you be more present with us. And maybe we could just do those trips. Maybe we take our daughter around the world and have some time where it's just us doing our thing, and then you still have, we're kind of set on the financial side of things from that sale, but you still have a war chest to play around for doing other acquisitions and continuing to grow, but just let someone else be the top guy so that you don't carry around that stress and you don't have to work on the weekends, and that we can, design the lifestyle around, raising our kid and doing all this a little more proactively. Like, why wouldn't you do that? That's I wanted to paint that picture and just kind of get your response here.
Well, I think my wife would high five you in about a second. So it's a great question, and I do think about that, and first thing I can say on that is like you can take the entrepreneur out of the business, but you really can't take the business out of the entrepreneur. Like if this is truly who you are, I mean, like I won't like when we go to the airport, I'm like, what do you think this kiosk makes in a day? Like you don't even have to have a person. You just scan a little thing and you just keep walking. And like how many things are getting stolen per day? Or like you're in an airport, like people are probably pretty honest here. There's a lot of cameras. It's like you can't turn it off. And so there's an element that if I did literally stop, there's an element of depression that sets in pretty quickly. And I sold a business in the past. It was the only thing I was working on. And I thought, man, I'm going to sit on the beach for 6 months and I'm going to find myself and figure out what I want to do next. Like, it felt like within a week, I was like telling Ashley, babe, I think my brain is literally rotting. And she's like, no, it's not. And I was like, no, I think it is. Because I didn't have a deadline or like nothing to build, nothing to work on. And that didn't feel good. So I started another business right away. And, I've had plenty of businesses that were not successful. So like, it's easy to tell the Instagram highlights, like, yeah, look at it. It's so good. And, we started it yesterday and we went on Shark Tank and the next day we sold to Google, but like, that's not ever what it really looks like. We had our best year ever last year and I had a lot of bad days. And a lot of days where like, I'm complaining to Ashley at the end of the day, like, man, this didn't work. That blew up. And, this employee that I was really excited about, like that didn't work. So all that to say, and my own team doesn't know this. So this is a Clint and Pat first. At Terraslate, I'm going to move out of the position of CEO and I'm going to move into a chairman role. And I have a great COO and a really good, really strong management team. The team is the best they've ever been. And we are going to move officially and full-time to Maui on June 1. So I got like 20 days or whatever left.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, like I'm very excited for so many reasons. And one of those reasons is when you're really far out in the middle of the ocean and it's really hard to get anywhere, you travel less because it's a pain in the ass. And I want to spend more time with them. And I feel like I'm interested in buying or starting a business in Hawaii that I don't need to take it to the moon. Like it can be what it is, and that can be great. And that's what I love about the Big Island Honey Company. Like, could we scale it? Sure. But does it have legs to be $100 million company? No, it just doesn't. And in some ways, that's what I love about it, because it's just a really small, really authentic brand. It knows exactly who it is, makes premium products. And when it's sold out, that's just it. It's like, it's sold. I'm not trying to like, oh man, we got to go. We're losing revenue because we're not delivering fast enough. We got to make more. It's like, we're sold out right now. Like we're going to have more in 3 months and we could do a pre-sale. We could order it, but like, so I'm really excited for that transition. And the way it happened is we were in Maui on our 10-year wedding anniversary last summer, and we had gone to Maui on our honeymoon. So I thought it was appropriate to go back. And we had this little bit of a boozy lunch with some friends, and I'm at the pool kind of scrolling Zillow, because I'm an entrepreneur, like, what does real estate cost you? I'm like, wow, this is awful. And I called one of the realtors that just like popped up, and I was like, could you show us this house this afternoon? And he's like, sure. And so that's sort of how that started. And then we closed on a house in September, and I decided this is where I'm my best self. This is the person I want to be. Like, I want to be available for Ashley and my little girl, and I want to be dad, and I want to coach the soccer team if that's what we need. And what's funny is like that forcing event, like back in September, was like, okay, June 1 is the date, has made me change my role at Terraslate and everywhere else, because I will not be available to ask questions. You will not bump into me in the hall because I literally won't be here. Now, will I fly back and forth at times? Absolutely. But I get to be my best family self there. And like you said, 5 is a really fun age. And I'm really excited for her to grow up somewhere like that and to be a big part of it. So am I going to sell all the companies? No, but I want to operate them at a different level and in a different capacity from there.
From the chairman's seat, from the owner's box. You know, I was just in a conversation on Twitter talking about there's kind of like this breakthrough level you can get to with a company. And a lot of times it's right around like 10 million-ish dollars to where there's of revenue. If you've got a healthy margin like that 10 to 20% like you have, that it opens up doors to where you don't necessarily have to sell to build the lifestyle of your dreams, because there's enough there to be able to promote that CEO, to be able to get a COO, or to be able to promote a COO to CEO and sit in the chairman's seat. And so when I was putting myself in Ashley's shoes and describing the life of your dreams, like, I'm a broker, so everything, to me, it's like a hammer. Everything looks like a nail. But when I take off my broker hat, like, you don't necessarily have to sell to create the lifestyle where you can be more present with your family, where you can travel on your terms, not as dictated by the industry that you're in. And it sounds like you've got a cool plan for that. And so it sounds like you're going to move to more of like that advisory role for Terraslate, like I was describing, that you could do with other companies, but without having to sell it. So you're gonna have people you trust to keep the trains running on time, to keep this business growing. You're still going to be able to be as involved as you want to be, but just by nature, being in Hawaii, you have to think hard about just jumping on a plane and going somewhere. It's a big decision. It's a pain in the butt. And so you've got this kind of different pace of life, and you can do acquisitions from there. You can oversee your small businesses in Hawaii, and you can advise Terraslate and other acquisitions. And so you're just reinventing yourself right now. And so honored that you were able to share that announcement here, because that's just super fun. That's one of the coolest moments of this podcast, I think, is when you announce that here, because I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see you turn this next chapter of your life, because I always say the only reason people your age sell a business is usually because they want to turn a new chapter of their life. And so it sounds like you wanted to turn a new chapter, but you're figuring out a way to do that without selling. And that's only possible because you finally got the business to a point to where it can afford it. Like, it can afford to still pay you well, still pay a leadership team, and continue to grow and let you move to that chairman seat, where some people, they just never get there. If you're at 2 or 3 million, you just can't afford it. Like, you can't sit in the chairman seat and replace yourself with a CEO too much. It's just hard to afford the talent. So congrats on getting over that hump. I'm excited to see, the fruit of this in your family and how this plays out. But this is a super fun conversation. Appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. It's my pleasure. And I very much appreciate the kind words. The one thing I'll say is it's a risk, right? Like, when I'm here and I live 10 minutes from the office, I work every day, right? Like, I can, if something is out of sorts, I can probably see it and help be part of that solution. But when you can't do that, it's a risk to the business. And we'll be putting even more trust in the leadership team. And I know they're capable, but like, could it all fall apart? And then I have to like live here. Meanwhile, my family lives in Maui. Like, that would be the worst situation. And could it happen? Absolutely. Like, rent is due every day as an entrepreneur, and you make a decision every day that can build or break the business, and then you empower your team to do it. But the truth is, like, they have just a little less skin in the game than you do, because they could get another job, and they don't have to, like, if there's a cash call, they don't have to put money in. And their name isn't on a personal guarantee from something from way back when. And so there's a risk, like, it's not without a lot of concentrated thought put into this decision. And I think it's only possible because I really do trust my leadership team, and they really are capable. So I'm excited, but but it's not footloose and fancy free either.
What does that look like logistically? Does the new CEO get to decide revenue targets and pricing and all decision making, or
Yeah.
what does that look
Yeah.
like?
So like, of course I am available all the time. Like, what's an entrepreneur without a full battery and Wi-Fi? But I task my COO and integrator at any company with the P&L. Like, they own that. That's theirs. They also get bonused accordingly. We don't do annual bonuses. We do quarterly bonuses, because I think annual is just too far out.
I agree.
And the truth is, like, what if you have a bad January? Do you really want to demotivate your team for the entire 11 months remaining in the year? Like, no way. You need to get them a clean reset, so that if they have a bad quarter, their year isn't blown. And then some might say, like, okay, well, yeah, but Kyle, you don't want everybody to have a quarterly view. And so what we do is both. We do a quarterly bonus, and if you hit your bonus all 4 quarters, you get a 5th quarter bonus in a lot of the roles. And that works really well. Like, I haven't figured out a better system yet of aligning the management team with what's good for the business. And that's ultimately what I think should be the goal of every compensation plan: is what's good for them is also good for the company, and what's good for the company is also good for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've also heard from other people, you kind of need something to fill your time. As you said before, you felt like your brain was rotting. So is your bandwidth and time, obviously it'll be family a lot more, is it going to focus on the honey business, or is there anything else that you can see?
Like, I'm not allowed to buy a boat. Like, this is an Ashley rule, because they're money pits, right? Like, I don't care if it's a dinghy or better or whatever. Like, it is just a place to pour money that never comes back. And I don't like those kinds of things. Like, I had a car once, was always in the shop, just pissed me off. So I'm not allowed to buy a boat, but I am allowed to buy a business. And that's kind of all I can say about it at the current moment. But I'm excited about things like that. Even if I don't go through with this in one capacity or another, I will always find something to fill my time. And sometimes it's just picking up the phone and talking to people about their own businesses. They're like, hey, I got a thought. Do you want to weigh in on this? And I kind of love doing that. So you can scratch the itch by lending a helping hand, and it feels great. You help them. You didn't have to take on any risk. There's no deliverable, right?
Yeah.
So that's also kind of a nice way to participate in business without being all consumed.
Yeah, that's neat. Did you know, so we went to college at DU together, for listeners who don't know. Did you know Jason Lundberg at DU?
Yeah. He lives in Kihei, which is actually like just a little bit south of where I live. And we have
you two are like two of the sharpest, hardest working people that I knew at University of Denver. And the fact that you both like are going to end up living in Hawaii for a while is just funny to me, that like, yeah, you're both like total, just super sharp, super hardworking people, and then end up in Hawaii. Almost makes you like reset or live on island time and island vibes for a bit.
You guys got to come out. Seriously though, anytime you guys want to come out, you got an airport ride and a place to stay anytime. Because like, what's really fun about having people come visit is you can do like my kind of like my format, if I even have one, is like everybody, when they get there, if they come from Denver, they're 4 hours ahead, right? So they wake up really early and it's dark and they're wide awake. And so what's kind of fun is like, we can do some content. We can talk shop or put our heads together on a project for a couple hours in the morning. And then you can go get out on the paddle boards, get out on the water on a boat, or like go surfing, or I can teach surfing. And it's really productive time, because you have like a working session, and then in the afternoon you go do something and you kind of develop this bond, because you're like outside and the weather's beautiful, and like it really gets the ideas going, and it is so fun. So literally you both should take me up on that. I'd love to have you anytime you want to come out, because like we'll both get something out of that.
That's amazing, man. Might have to take you up on that. So, well, we're bumped up against time here. This has been a fascinating conversation, and I'm excited for this next chapter for you. If people want to connect with you online, where's the best place to do that? We'll link to it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm big on LinkedIn. So hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm just at Kyle Ewing, and LinkedIn pressured me to write this. They call it a newsletter, but it's called Ideas to Empires. And I'm only 8 or so posts into it. But if anybody out there, or you guys have any interest in writing something like that, it drives a lot of business. It makes my phone ring a lot, and some really cool people call me. But yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there, and I respond to messages as fast as I can. And it's always fun to connect with people and hear what they're working on.
All right. We'll link to that, and excited to read that as well. So awesome. Thanks, Kyle. We'll talk to you soon.
Aloha. Thank you both.
Thanks.